Hello,
What's the
everyone.
alternative? Oh,
Welcome
hello.
to the 39th episode of DevKami, and I am
Yes.
Chileung, and I'm speaking loudly.
I am Tristan.
And this is Remain, who is on holiday soon.
Yay!
You'll be having holidays
You
soon.
better have your holiday.
Yeah, and I didn't have it for long. So what we have for
It's a
this week?
jam-packed Saturday this
It's a
coming
busy,
Saturday.
it's a busy weekend.
Yeah,
Yep.
it is. You
Uh,
have the
AI
machine learning models using NumPy.
School KL.
What is NumPy?
Yeah. So this event by AI School KL.
Yeah.
NumPy is a numerical processing tool.
Mm-hmm.
It is used heavily in scientific computing.
Is it like a
Um,
Mathematica or Wolfram
yes, you
Alpha?
can think of that,
Similar.
but with Python.
Because the
Oh,
native Python types are, especially the list or array types, are not optimized for
Yeah.
all this matrix manipulation.
okay.
Manipulation. So
So it's like a C binding
yeah,
for numerical calculations.
yep,
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yes. And it's defined. It's designed for numerical calculation,
yeah.
meaning it have better support for metrics,
Mm-hmm.
uh, uh, high precision numbers,
Do we know?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
etc.
so Hussein is the one that is gonna be conducting the training.
Correct. So he's the one that I remember our interview with him about deep
Yeah,
learning and TensorFlow.
yeah,
He'll be there. So I said you to go because you know his stuff. And NumPy is one of those things that is useful in machine learning now simply because it's already used pretty heavily in scientific computing, which is
Mm-hmm.
another story altogether.
Mm-hmm.
So let's move on before we take up too much time.
So on the same day,
At the same time, different place.
there is a React workshop from Malcolm.
Yep. This is happening at work at KL Gateway.
Wait, yep.
Interesting. I didn't know they have work at KL Gateway.
Yeah, work is everywhere now.
It's cool because KL Gateway is beside the University LRT station.
Yep, it's very
And it's
reachable.
actually not too far from the same event, so you can move
Yeah.
around. So get just below on the road below Bangsa Sok, so it's not very far.
And Malcolm is a very good trainer, so check him out.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have Python 101 by Tech Up
And we won't code.
and Women Who Code.
Oh, there
And this
it's
happening
a.
at
Is this a collaboration between
Yeah,
them?
right.
Mhm.
yes, it's a collaboration.
Yeah.
And
If I
this
remember
happens
correctly,
at the Starling,
Starling. It's happening at the Starling.
yeah.
the Collabs co-working space.
Uh-huh.
And okay, on the other hand, on our calendar we have Geek Summit Day 1. Not anymore. That event had been cancelled.
Yeah, no, it's not cancelled. It's actually
No,
they're gonna
They cancelled
merge.
half.
Yeah, they're gonna merge 2 days into one, which is on Sunday.
Yep.
Okay.
So
So there's no Geek Summit on Saturday,
Yeah,
but there is Geek Summit the next day, which is
Yeah.
on Sunday.
yep.
Correct.
So we're supposed to update the calendar, throw it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the Python 101 is by the IO Foundation and by Women Who Code
Yeah.
KL.
I wish I'm gonna be there to record.
Yeah.
Stream
And they
as
say
much as possible.
workshop commences at 10:30 sharp, and knowing the organizers, when they say 10:30, it starts at 10:30.
Yeah.
If anyone is attending the Python event, please be there on time because
Yeah.
it's always a big thing for latecomers to catch up on everything that was discussed before, especially
Yeah.
if you're a beginner. You'll lose a lot of like learning for the first 15 minutes.
I'll be there to help out as well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And okay, on the calendar we have
Sunday.
also
Wait, what is Geek Summit? What is happening on Geek Summit? Just geeks?
It's very interesting because it's actually mainly we know some of the organizers from the top tech community, but the Geek Summit is actually mainly about the anime and cosplay group.
Oh, it's
So-
interesting. There's an anime and cosplay.
Yeah, which is actually pretty
and quite
huge in
introduced
Malaysia.
technology.
It's
Yeah.
quite a stereotyping geeks though.
And also they want, and they
It's
because
different type of
they've been doing this, so they want to involve more tech people in there nowadays. So
Mhm.
they're gonna extend the grasp of a geek, a definition of geeks,
Yeah.
like try to cover all of them.
Yeah. So that's actually quite interesting because so yesterday I did the microcontroller talk, right?
Yep.
And there's actually this trend of cosplayers learning electronics because
Yes.
you actually need to start with like the LEDs,
Yep.
the lights, and all of the mechatronics that
Yep.
you use for your cosplays. They're actually like leveling up and doing all of these electronic stuff.
Yep.
And you need to know how to program, and you need to know how to do electronics in order to make like all of these helmets that move, the
Yes.
LEDs that light up. So it's actually quite interesting, the convergence of these things.
Correct.
And
It's pretty new.
Hmm.
Kickstarter is not free though, but it's pretty cheap. It's 15
Quite
ringgit.
cheap. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I bought the 25 ringgit ticket. Do you know what I am supposed to be getting
I don't
for
know. You should
extra
you
You're
ticket?
should
supposed
you
to.
should.
I'm supposed to crowdfund something, but I don't know what I just crowdfunded.
And there's a bunch of people that we might know from the tech community. Like James is gonna talk about Python with Android.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be there to do training. Fast, like the if you hang out with the usual Google user group, and Fast is gonna be there to to recycle his junior dev
Yeah.
talk again.
And I'll be there doing nothing.
Mm.
So yeah,
Then on Tuesday, we have Ruby Tuesdays.
yeah,
Yes.
usual.
Uh, there is all you need to know about Ruby 2.7 by Jimmy. He hasn't presented in a while, so if you want to
I haven't seen him
listen
for
to
a
his
while.
talks, yeah,
Yes.
he'll be presenting.
And I think this is a bit more important, but we're going to skip the policy. Next week
Mhm.
is also the Angular Conference Malaysia,
Yep.
happening on
Mhm.
next weekend.
Yep.
But I don't think you can get ticket anymore. But if you happen to get it, if there happens to have still a ticket, get it. Very good
Yep.
speaker. But that's our rules, lah. So that'll be next weekend.
Yeah. Or you can post on Facebook and try to see if there are any scalpers selling you
Yeah.
tickets. Then you
And-
might be
Yes.
able to get some. It's very much in demand. So if you never bought yours, shame on you
Too
because it's going to be a very good event.
Yeah, and also
Yes.
I have to. It's gonna be happening after the week after, but I'm gonna share it because it's a considerably like a mini conference, which on Monday after Angular conference, it's actually the collaboration between Junior Dev KLJS and the Women Who Could.
Hmm.
Oh,
So it's
very
gonna
so.
be. So it's gonna be a Junior Dev plus KLJS plus Women Who Could.
Yeah, we'll probably repeat this next week anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
correct.
it's going to be in Microsoft Malaysia. So the last
Yeah.
time we were at Microsoft Malaysia on the KLJS meetup, there were like 100+ people. So it's a mini conference. This is even going to be an even larger
Mini
post
conference.
conference meetup.
Mhm.
Yep.
I think
So
I will go
yeah,
just because
I will be in the Philippines that time. So I will be, if you're recording and streaming, then I'll be there remotely.
All right, cool. I think that's
Yeah.
pretty much the events. So anything happening last week?
Last week was the JavaScript Wednesday. I spoke there.
This week is the BGP mess up.
Oh, what happened this time?
Yeah. Apparently, Cloudflare says Verizon's mess up.
Yeah,
mess it up,
I think it's a
and they took down half of the internet.
Yep. So believe it or not, BGP is not as long as you have access to the router, you can read it. It's relatively open, but it just happens that hardware is not so well. It's not accessible to most people. But once you have it, it's not too hard for you to actually send the information. As a result, this configuration can route the whole internet to one country. So, and it happens once every few years nowadays. And you should look at the incident report. Really interesting what happened. And some is actually hostile attack. For example, because once you have configured BGP, you can reroute all your traffic to a router, and you can actually use it to do man of leader attack.
Yeah.
So that's what else?
There's
Someone
NASA
hacked
got
the Raspberry Pi.
NASA was hacked because of an unauthorized Raspberry Pi connected to its network.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then
Do you know
Okay.
how the connection happened through USB, Ethernet, wireless? Like
I
how
don't
did they
think that-
connect it? Like what was special about the Pi? Like, why are they saying it's a Pi?
Yeah,
Because like, why not just a phone or something?
actually, you're asking a good question, but it's a long report I can read it here.
Okay.
Disclaimer.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the summary we have is, uh, yeah, so they use a external user system, so it's not internal. Then they actually copy file and send it over. Hmm.
Yes, because I'm just thinking, how is it different from a cell phone, right? Because everyone
Yeah,
just carries around the cell phone. Like,
Yeah.
just because it was a Pi doesn't mean that, and
and
it's doing the same thing as a cell phone.
especially true when your cell phone can already run the suite
Mm-hmm.
that is already available for Metasploit.
Yeah.
So you can literally run a version of Kali for Android,
Mm-hmm.
Kali Linux
Yeah.
based tools for Android.
Because I'm thinking there are ways for a Pi,
Yes,
especially the Pi Zero, because it's really small,
yeah,
to be a USB human interface device.
yes,
So USB
yes,
HID, right? And then so
correct.
when you plug it in as a USB device, then
Yes,
emulates a keyboard, types in
yeah,
commands, and then automatically, like, maybe SSHs or copies over or whatever into its file system. And
mhm.
maybe that might be how the Pi worked. Or if it's just a simple thing, then maybe they're just saying, oh, it's a Pi, and then it's just timely for the release of the Pi 4. So I'm not sure if
Yes.
that was something special.
Yeah, it's not, but Poison, there is a very interesting attack on the Pi Zero. The only reason why Raspberry Pi Zero is interesting, Raspberry Pi is interesting because it's cheap. And that's about
Mm-hmm.
it, actually.
Mm-hmm.
It's cheaper than a phone, and that's about it.
If you can find people to if you can find uh resellers that don't jack up the price. So
Yeah.
apparently in the US or Europe or in Australia or any of these countries, right,
Hmm.
they are not able to buy the Pi at its retail price of 35 US dollars, because
Mhm.
it's so much in demand that resellers are like doubling or like
Mm.
150% the
Hmm.
price of the Pi.
Yeah.
And so that's why they say, oh, it's a $5 computer
It
that
used to
costs
be
$10, for example.
it used to be here as well before I think like Cytron got the official distribution. We
Hmm.
used to buy like from third party that they check up the price.
Yeah.
Yes. And also the did do well for the Thunder match to kind of bring it a bit up, but
Mm.
it's better now because we have one official source,
Hmm.
Yeah.
so and we have to sell on that price.
Yeah.
So I
Not
shared a link.
necessarily. Well, the Pi Zero, I think, in the basic versions, they have to sell on that price. But the higher versions, like the 4 gigs, for example, or the Pi Zero W with headers,
Mhm.
they can like have extra margins on that. So that's where they get their margins, and probably part of it is like goes back to the Pi Foundation.
Yeah. And also, I shared a link called the Poison Pad.
Hmm.
That one is interesting because they really use the capability of Raspberry Pi as a attack. So it potentially that nobody really knows.
Hmm.
So yeah. Okay, so let's go back to the news. Anything else that's happening? We need to update our bus for now.
If you like animals, especially alpaca,
Yeah. Huh?
they're gonna be a animal fest or something happening in Mid Valley sometime
Mm.
soon. They're gonna bring alpaca in, so
Okay.
check it out.
Back to tech. Have you heard about Elastic
What?
CM?
Huh?
Like what? Sorry.
Elastic CSIEM?
There's this team.
Yeah, you know what is that? It's just
I don't know.
because Elasticsearch will introduce it. Oh, okay, I just read it. So what happened is Elasticsearch CM is actually a way for you to actually do query using Kibana, Kibana query language. So it's another way for you to actually query Elasticsearch.
Hmm.
So now you can. So
What's the
Kibana is like the one level, one higher level of Elasticsearch. So you can one level higher, so you can go one level lower.
Correct.
what's the
So
original
it
query
is basic.
language for Elasticsearch?
No, actually, Kibana is on top the work with Elasticsearch. Previously, Elasticsearch query language is actually is their own JSON
Mm-hmm.
based coding language. They have some language on it, but it's JSON based. It's a bit weird, but if you guys use search, it's very powerful. I look at the page, which I'll share later. The use case is for event security analysis and all that. Pretty interesting. Elasticsearch is literally started as a search engine. Now they use it as a data store because they can search and query data. So I think the CM is really interesting. And I think finally, for me, on the news is actually PyCon Malaysia ticket is now being sold right now. So you can get your early bird ticket right now.
What do you have the like
PyCon Malaysia.
program?
No, the program is still ongoing. I think the team are not ready to release yet, but I've been asking them to do it earlier because so that it's easy to sell and all that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because people will be like always asking
Correct.
like
It starts
what are the
selling right
topics,
now.
right?
Yeah, it starts selling right now. More information will come as we introduce speaker and whatnot. So that's the last thing for me. Anything else is
Yeah,
interesting?
that's about it, I guess.
Cool. Back to the animal thing. You think we got a chance to buy one so they can start a bar?
Oh, what?
Starting
Sorry.
an alpaca bar. I want to start an alpaca bar.
Alpaca bot. What does it do?
What is bug? What is a bug?
Bar.
Okay.
Alpaca bar.
Personally, I disagree on the idea of keeping pets.
Yeah. So
Okay,
here's the thing, right? Yes.
especially exotic ones.
So I have
Oh,
limit the animal I want to
alpaca
keep.
bar jokes. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Isn't that
So
say like how are you? Alpaca ba?
yeah,
Oh,
it's a pun. It's a pun.
damn.
No.
Okay. Now I realize I'm a slow
So either
person.
way, uh, I think we should go to our main event.
Yep. And today's main event is this
Not
thing gonna
Pokemon.
unbox. Yep.
Yeah, so I was one of the people before Citron's website crashed because apparently a lot of people were buying the pie. I was one of the people who were managed to get in an order
Mhm.
at their discounted price, which
Yeah.
is like the same price as the Raspberry Pi 3B Plus. So I have the box. I haven't opened it yet.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can get so I can see myself. Yep.
Yeah.
And I haven't opened it yet. So let's see. Let's see what's inside. You've probably seen some of the things already, like some of the unboxings from others, but this is like a live unboxing from DevKami. I don't know
Yes.
how to
For the
open
first time
boxes.
also.
It's a bit difficult to open. Am I opening it correctly?
I don't know. You open it.
Just tear it open.
No, the
Ah,
box.
Okay.
so no, it actually says open here, so I'm
Okay.
opening it on the
You should
wrong
learn how
side.
to read. Oh, I'm
Yes.
gonna
There
focus
you
the
go.
screen. I'm gonna focus the screen on Tristan.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. So apparently there is an open here. So when you open it, then you cannot unopen it anymore. And
Oh
that
my
is
Oh,
goodness.
your
okay.
so
Oh, so
for
that
reference,
that makes it a case as well for this,
I don't
if you
think
want to.
so.
No,
Oh
it
yeah,
looks
I
like
guess so. I
it.
guess so. Yeah, yeah,
The
yeah.
hole is not exactly easy to open, but the part you put it in, I believe the whole the white label on the side actually
Hmm.
is on the is
Which
actually
one? This one?
uh yeah it's okay on this side that is shown on the camera. I believe the white part align nicely with the connection.
Hmm.
I suspect,
I will check it later.
but
Uh
either way, it's a potential casing down there. Very smart.
they have instructions, but I have no idea what it says because it doesn't have any words on it. So I
Oh my
don't know what it's
goodness,
trying to tell me.
we are not Egyptian
Yeah. I don't read emoji, whatever this is.
or hieroglyph for that matter.
And of course, you have the user's manual, which nobody reads. So we're not going
Yes.
to read it as well. So for reference, for comparison, this is the 3B plus. So it's connected right now to a case. 3B plus, this is the Raspberry Pi 4. The
Okay.
biggest difference that you can see is so the Ethernet is here.
Yeah.
The Ethernet here is on the top.
Oh, so
So
you need new
cases,
casing.
yes, cases are not. Well, I will try to see. So this is the official 3B case.
Yeah.
As you can see, it has holes, but part of the which hole is this? Like this is the Ethernet port hole, right? I'm thinking of grinding out the top part, the shield part here, so that it's going to fit, because now it's going to be the USB port if I put it inside. So actually, let me try putting it inside. So yeah, so that's the Raspberry Pi 4. I just downloaded Noobs so that I can see if I can get this running. By the way, you can see here there's an micro HDMI. So
Two of them.
yeah, two of them. This is the Raspberry Pi Zero. You'll see that it has a mini HDMI. This is a micro HDMI. So if you
Oh,
don't have
okay.
a so I ordered. So at the same time, I ordered the Pi 4. I also ordered some micro HDMI adapters. I ordered like a few as well yesterday, but they had to refund me the micro HDMI adapters. Apparently, people have been running out because I bought that for like 6 ringgit for one. It's quite cheap. I'm sure Lazada sellers are going to be jacking up micro HDMI adapters, because if you have to buy a micro HDMI for this, if you
Unfortunately,
want
you
the
cannot
thing.
use so the USB-C interface is for the just for the power.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like it. You don't have any serial or any kind of USB. So it's just really the form factor on this one.
Yeah.
So
Right.
what I'm planning to do later, like well, probably while we're talking here. So this is the Maker
Cat.
P hat
Yeah. Fat. Yeah. The hat.
fat, the Maker fat,
What you gonna call it
uh,
fat?
because it's a fat. It's a partial hat,
Yeah.
because it doesn't cover the whole thing, right? So it's a partial thing. Uh, the full hats are like cover the whole, like for example, like
Yeah.
um, e-ink displays or LCD displays, or the PoE, power over Ethernet hat. They're hats. They cover the whole thing. So this Maker hat, I'm planning to use this because it has something called a USB to serial. So
Yep.
you can actually put in case you didn't know, this is a single board computer with GPIO pins, so it actually can function similar to how Arduinos or ESP32s would function. Like there would be like I squared C, there would be SPI, there would be UART. So this one converts the serial interface, the UART interface, into a USB connection, which is a micro USB. So basically, if I can find the adapters here, you plug this in, you plug in your USB through the micro USB, and then you don't even need a display. It will just output the Linux console or whatever console you have that
Automatically?
speaks serial.
No.
You
You
have to
need to
enable
add.
it.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a text file that you can add.
Yeah, so
Okay.
that's why I wanted Noobs, because it allows me to configure how it starts or how it boots up.
Correct.
Like I can put on the text file, like enable UART, for example, and then it will enable UART on the thing.
Yeah. So.
Okay. Do you want do you want me to show a few of the others? Um, this is the Tinker board.
Uh-huh.
Before the Pi 4, this was the it looks almost exactly like Pi, except that you'll see the GPIO headers are colorful, and of course the heat sinks is different. It's a 32-bit micro 32-bit single board computer. The
Mhm.
Pis are 64-bit. They're both
Okay.
ARM. Um, so this has eMMC, 16 gigs of eMMC, so it has built-in storage, a lot faster than the SD card. Surprisingly, the Pi 4 still has an SD card. Like you have to boot off an SD card, but you can boot off USB SSD as well.
Oh.
But I think they are planning to have a version with eMMC soon, because according to the manual, it says someone from YouTube mentioned that it actually mentioned about there you go. So this is the part. I'm not sure if you can read it. This part says 1 gig, 2 gig, 4 gig plus 8 gig. So people are asking, what does it actually mean when you say 1 gig, 2 gig, 4 gig plus 8 gig, because usually if you say it's for 8 gigs of memory, you'd say 1, 2, 4, and 8, but it says plus. So the suspicion there is that you might have a 1 gig Pi plus 8 gigs of eMMC. So at least those are the rumors. We'll never know.
Okay.
So yeah.
Interesting.
So
So what's the
that's
difference?
sorry.
So what's the difference with your new Pi with your old Pi?
The new Pi has a different
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Ethernet port. It's also a lot faster.
Yep.
Um, they're using a new Broadcom chipset. I forgot which one, but they're faster. The SD card is faster as well. Now it has USB 3. Now it has the blue USB ports. You'll
Okay.
see here that the old Pi didn't have the blue USB ports. It has 1 gig Ethernet. This technically has 1 gig Ethernet, but because it shares the bandwidth with the USB ports, then you're limited to USB speeds, which is like 300 megabits per second. And it's even worse when you have USB peripherals because now it's sharing bandwidth. Now it has its own chip to control the Ethernet, and that makes everything a lot faster. Yeah, and of course a double micro HDMI port. They say because of the Video Core 6. The old Pi had a Video Core 4. Now with the Video Core 6, you can have 4K 60 FPS on one display, or you can have dual displays because you have two ports at 4K 30 FPS.
Which
Uh,
codec is that
this
for?
is just a resolution
Okay.
mapping, so you can actually output that kind of display. Performance, though, is a different matter because apparently it has H.265, H.264 decoding, but tests. I mean, I haven't actually played with it yet, but according to the reviews I've seen so far, playing YouTube at 4K 60 FPS like stutters, so it's not as ideal. It could be because of the if you're playing from SD card, then the transfer rate is too slow, or from the network. But we'll see. I'll try to do my own test and see what
Yeah.
happens
But
there.
the good bump from the Raspberry Pi 3 is that it has a gigabit port. So
Correct.
that is
Yes,
a
it has a gigabit. It's a full gigabit port
yeah.
that does not share bandwidth with the USB. Because, like I mentioned, the 3B Plus has a gigabit port, but it shares bandwidth with the
Yeah.
um, USB peripheral. So it doesn't actually reach 1 gig. It only reaches like about 300 megabits per second. This one,
So
though,
this.
this
Hmm.
one is a full gigabit. This is the Thinker board. This is a Pi case, so they made it very very similar to a Pi, like it's almost similar, like you can use almost the same things except for like the ones with the fan you can't use it because the heat sink is in the way, but almost everything else you can. But now this was almost the same price as a 2 gig Raspberry Pi 4, but this is already obsolete because the Raspberry Pi 4 is a lot more powerful than
Yeah.
this one. Yeah.
So it's feasible to use it as a file server now with 1 gigabyte.
For NASes, yeah. So a lot of people don't
Yep.
like, especially the hardcore NAS people, don't like it when people use a Raspberry Pi as a NAS because they say you have a NAS because you want it to be redundant and you want to make sure that everything is safe. But for hobby stuff, like let's say you just want a set of large hard drives on your network and you don't want your 24/7 computer to like do all of these raid stuff,
It's more
then
powerful
this
if
is
you're
fine.
also like interested in making like uh in networking use cases like firewall
Yeah.
Hmm.
or gateway.
Yeah,
It's
it's
in a
going to
way
be
more powerful nowadays.
correct. Yeah, it's going to be a lot better. Like if you're doing Pi-hole, for example, and you have multiple DNS requests from like your household, then it should be able uh, to tackle that
Yeah.
well.
But Pi-hole is
Ah.
actually I'm a user of Pi-hole, so
Hmm.
apparently they reduced that requirement
Oh.
the system because previously most of the resources went to power the dashboard. It was
Yeah.
powered by PHP,
Mm-hmm.
so they rewrote it somehow, and now the UI is actually under React.
Mm.
So and the backend is different now. So
So it's
the
much better now.
the footprint is so much better.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
So
after DNS and all that.
sorry, I just fit it on the original 3B Plus case. So apparently it fits well,
Yeah.
but of course, because of the extra plastic here, if you put it like that, then it doesn't fit because it gets in the way. So I'll
Right.
probably have to just trim it with a Dremel probably, and then
Yeah.
I can reuse this case. And of course, the side case, this one doesn't fit anymore because you don't
Yeah.
have you don't have HDMI
Yeah.
anymore. So
Not the
we'll
same
see.
portion. Yeah.
Although on the other side, because there's nothing that much as different, it's fine. Of course, on the top, you can always put it on the top.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
But
that
come
is the
on.
Pi 4. Let's see what I
Cool.
can do with it.
Yeah. For now, I think Raspberry Pi is really powerful now. But then this is coming from a position where you can finally buy a reasonably powerful computer on
Yeah.
this 500 ringgit.
Yep. Well, less than 500. This was I bought this for 169.
Yeah, this
They
is
they
200.
did jack up the price now. It's 169 now.
But it's
Yeah.
still
Um,
cheap. Yeah.
Still cheap, and
And
it's great for like students because all you need now is a monitor, a keyboard, and a mouse, and you can actually like do your assignments without having to spend for a laptop or a Chromebook or all of these things.
so actually, the Raspberry Pi was originally designed for students.
Mm-hmm.
It's why it's so cheap, right?
Yep.
It's expensive for us because we nerds buy a lot of those. But education-wise, I still recommend the Pi for educators because Raspberry Pi Foundation actually works on the curriculum for children.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
And
so,
I feel that this is a lot better than a laptop, especially for if you want to teach electronics, because of mostly because of the GPIO ports,
Yeah.
right? Because it
yes.
allows you like again with the talk I talked about this yesterday on the JavaScript Wednesdays, which swimming by the way did not go to
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
We
because
had we had everybody there, including Manju.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, so I was saying let we have to like us as software developers, we have to stop just talking to forms and web browsers and computers and allow our programs to talk to the real world. And this is the window for our programs to talk to the real world, right?
And this
It
is
allows them.
Tristan on universe way.
Yeah. So I
So
think this is a lot it's much better than a laptop just because it allows you to interface with sensors, with extra stuff, with the low level electronics, and you understand exactly like you'll probably see a lot of these ports on your electronics. Like, why is there a serial port? Like I just uh took apart a Bluetooth headset, like a Bluetooth headset like this, and then there were serial ports there, and like, oh wow, interesting. They have like these endpoints for you to put in like leads so that you can actually listen in what are the communications, like the low level communications there. So I feel that it's actually good. Speaking of the Raspberry Pi Foundation, this is actually the OG Raspberry Pi. You'll
yes.
see here that the video is not HDMI. It's a three component. I think it's VGA and
Yes.
then stereo.
Yeah.
Composite video. This is
Yeah.
composite video.
Composite. It's composite
Yeah,
video.
it's
Yes.
composite, right? So it's
And
quite
then,
interesting. You'll see here it's like the old 26. I think this is a 26 port 26 pin GPIO before it was 40.
so the use
So
case for that is because uh, it's so they can just find a TV and plug
Yep.
it without buying a monitor.
mhm.
Except nowadays, even the cheapest TV had a HDMI port.
Yep. But that
Yeah.
was like the first version is
They had
like
an
more than
HDMI by
10
the
years
way.
ago,
Yeah.
I think. But around
Yeah,
around
it
Yeah.
10
was
years.
This was 25 US when it first came out. So
correct.
interesting that they'd never. So 25 by the way is also the same price point as an Arduino.
Yeah.
So they were trying to
It's like
like get there.
revolutionary those days, right?
Hmm.
Especially those days because a single board Linux computer is actually very expensive. As a get a robotics team when they want to use something for a robot operating system with Linux and all that, a single board Linux computer can be up to your
Yeah.
days around few hundred to a
Also
thousand
the main point is that it's
ringgit,
actually
right?
using ARM for it. So
Yeah.
it drives down the cost a lot.
Hmm.
Yeah, correct.
So
So you'll see
But not
here.
sure. Single board computer those days Yep. Oh yeah, it's not true because those days single board Linux computer are not using x86, they're using ARM as well.
Yeah.
It's just that the Raspberry Pi Foundation decided to make something so cheap, right?
Mm-hmm. This
So
this
yeah,
was revolutionary
so
during that
that's
time. They wanted to do what the BBC Micro did
correct.
when in the UK BBC like gave away all of these small computers to, well, not small but like computers, low power computers into the students. They're trying it again with
Yes.
the microbit, and so the
Yeah.
Pi was actually trying to do that because the founders mentioned that when they were like starting to learn about computers, they did it with like the Spectrum, with the Apple computers, the Apple II computers, not the MacBooks, but like the
Mhm.
ones by the time of Steve Wozniak stuff. So like it's about
Yeah.
tinkering about stuff, right? Tinkering with the computer. It's like the hardware
Yes.
is there. It's like open. It's not the SMD components that we have right now. So you can actually like manipulate the chips, the electronic components there. And so they wanted to do the same thing. So you'll see here it's also using the large SD card, not the mini micro SD card that we have. See, it's like the old school. It's very difficult to find devices that still accept the large ones, except for cameras. So it's quite interesting. And if you'll notice that the chip here is actually the same chip as the Pi Zero, which I will show again next. This is the Pi Zero. It's actually quite small compared to the Pi, and of course the Pi 4, right? It's like what, 1/5 the size, and
Yes.
has all of the GPIO ports. And of course, in order to fit everything, then you have your mini HDMI and then your micro USB for power and micro USB for USB OTG. You'll see
Yes.
that I did it differently because usually you'll have the the pins going up. I had the bent pins because I was planning to do it like as an embedded thing, because I just wanted it differently. But
And this.
this computer, $5, which is about 23 ringgit. I got this 23 ringgit, and has the same power as this computer. So it's
Correct.
quite cool.
And it's crazy because it had a form factor that we can put inside our angpao, so that in Chinese New
Yeah.
Year you're rich enough, you can
Thank
don't
you.
forget
I would like a few ampao from you. Thank you.
Oh, but when the Pi Zero was announced,
yes.
they actually put it as part of the Magpie magazine.
Yeah, in
So this
UK.
was, yeah, in the UK. It was part of the magazine. If you bought the magazine, so this is back in the days when you can get a CD
Yeah.
inside the magazine, or you can get like
No.
some chips inside the magazine. So this was like when magazines were the in thing, and you can get like swag,
Yeah.
like promotional materials from the magazine. So this was the promotional material there. I don't know if you remember the times when you had like AOL discs or like
Yeah.
Ubuntu discs inside
Yes.
Free
magazines.
demos.
Yeah, yeah,
But
demos.
Magpie
Yeah.
don't do that. Magpie is the magazine that comes way after. I mean, nowadays, latest magazines still give DVDs, but Magpie don't do that until recently, and that's the old gift.
And Maker, and Maker's
Yeah.
Estate.
Oh, what? Sorry.
Maker magazine.
Oh, but they just filed for
Bankruptcy.
Chapter
um
11, something like that.
Yeah,
yeah, bankruptcy, right?
bankruptcy protection actually.
Yeah, so
So
they're not making money.
correct. That's another story. I have my opinion on the maker culture, but mostly positive. But mostly positive. That's another story.
Oh,
But
and
actually, this one is revolutionary for me because it's so the cheap. It's less than 100 ringgit. We get a relatively functional computer.
mm-hmm.
In practice, you need more components, so it's still
Yeah,
up to 100 ringgit. But
yeah. Well,
the
you can
core
borrow
components,
them, or like you can get like, so keyboards, monitors, you can actually get them easily or cheaply from donations,
Yep.
yes,
which
right,
which makes like if you're a school, it's a lot easier. You just buy the pies and then
correct,
ask for donations for monitors or like keyboards, mice, all of these
Yep.
things.
correct. And it's cheap
So
enough for experimentation, and
yeah,
that's
correct.
awesome.
Yeah.
And speaking of bankruptcy, the, this is the chip, and unfortunately, the chip makers went like were not able to sustain their business. The chip makers were going to make a new single board computer though, so hopefully that one, I think they called it popcorn or something. So this
So
was supposed to be a $9 computer competitor
yeah.
of the Pi. So again, component, you'll see like
Mhm.
a component for video and audio, and the chip looks like this. It's more Arduino like
Mhm.
than the Pi. So
Yes.
uh, it's not as powerful as the Pi, but it is still running an ARM processor. I think it's an
Okay,
ARM,
so
right?
this one, yeah, this is ARM. This one have Bluetooth and Wi-Fi
Mm-hmm.
before the Raspberry Pi
Yeah,
Zero
before
W.
the zero W. Yeah, this one, and it's $9. The Pi Zero is 10
Yeah,
US dollars.
and this one actually had a battery connector.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a whole set. Is the
Pi's here.
pocket chip.
Oh yeah, okay, cool. You have the whole thing.
Yeah, so I added a pin so that I can experiment. So is it possible to zoom to my screen? Oh, it's already there, right? That's already there. So
Yeah, I think yeah.
you see here, there is a GPIO pin that I added. There got screen. This is a capacity. This is the old style. You have to use a stylus and a finger. So the pin is here, and we look at here. There's a battery. So this is a self-sustaining machine. PT, this is a dead technology. It's alive as it's usable, but it goes nowhere. But that being said, this is a very interesting form factor, even though it's not the most ergonomic, because this is the most hackable form factor I have that I know of. It had a keyboard. Maybe I share a photo later. But what I something I did, so I go to a hackathon. I go to a hackathon, and I discovered that I don't have monitor and keyboard, and I have Raspberry Pi. So what I do is I use the serial computer from here, then I connect to a keyboard, then I use the serial connect to the Raspberry Pi, then I configure the Raspberry Pi using serial directly, right? So this is
Yep.
so hackable. It's insane. I should show you a photo. I should have it somewhere. So these are damn hackable form factor. And because you got USB here, you can literally just use a USB keyboard to do things.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and pity the chip doesn't work out. Unfortunately, chip also compete with the Raspberry Pi.
Yeah.
Uh, Unfortunately, when the Raspberry Pi Zero W comes out, they're dead. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's actually because Raspberry Pi has so much of the support, like a
Yeah,
lot of libraries are there, like
correct.
the hardware support are there. Even Steam runs on the Pi. So
Yes.
I bought the Tinker board thinking that it's like most of the libraries will work, and it's not actually the same. It's not as well supported as the Pi. So actually thinking like maybe this would do something else. I'm not sure because it's
So
not as very well supported.
even on the Raspberry Pi, support for hardware is not as good if you do not use Raspbian, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So if you use Fedora, you do not get the right support. Whether they do it correct, or whether all the people do it correctly or not, right? They do not get the same support as uh,
Raspbian.
correct.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, TensorFlow uh, is a binary that only installed with the same way with the setup for Raspbian, but not for Fedora, for example. So embedded system is like that. So you need the effort to build it, and unfortunately, the effort they're working on right now, they spend their effort on Raspbian. So it is what it is. Embedded hardware had the same problem because each of it is like PC is awesome in a way that because even though different manufacturers the same bus and all that, they talk PCIe and all the same component, embedded system do not necessarily share the same system. Even an Arduino do not necessarily share the same Arduino port as
Mm.
most do, but not always, right? That's the state of embedded hardware actually. But I pity that chip died up. They have very good idea. For example, the Pi Zero W, they don't have a battery port. Battery port that you can use.
I'm not sure if you would want a battery port for this because this doesn't seem to be like Pis are not well suited for embedded battery operations because
Yeah.
they can, like on idle, for example, it's only 50 milliamps, and that's
Yes.
like already a lot for an embedded system.
Correct.
And like you can have low power microcontrollers like 3 microamps on
Yes.
idle on sleep, and then you just like burst to like 2 milliamps to connect to wi-fi and whatever, and then sleep again, and you can last for months on a coin cell battery, like coin cell
Correct.
cr
Correct.
2032. And
But
pies won't like even last 2 hours on a 18650 lithium ion battery.
yes, but the Raspberry, advanced robotic system uh,
Mm,
tend to use robot operating system, which actually event based and all that require a full blown operating system. It's possible to run individual component on the microcontroller, but the core system, most of the
mm-hmm.
robotic advanced ish robotic system, for let's say robot war and all that, they don't actually use no, for that one is the robot war. Those are microcontrollers, but the autonomous one,
Yeah.
those require a full blown computer.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask that because unless you want it like fully autonomous without any
Yeah,
connections, right? Usually, the way you would do it is that you have the microcontroller to directly interface with the servos or with all of these gears and motors, but your brains is like through a wireless connection, either Bluetooth or
yeah,
Wi-Fi, because it's fast enough. Like it's like the latency
correct.
is good
And
enough to control it. But
yes,
the only reason why you would want a powerful brain on the embedded onto the robot is if it needs to be fully autonomous, like let's say, I don't know, like digging under the earth and you cannot like communicate with it,
yeah,
and you can't run a wire, then
yes.
you'll have to do it for exploration probably.
Actually, it's more common than you think. Uh, Even though it's hidden, for example, your phone is precisely the same domain as a
Mm-hmm.
wireless embedded system. For example, your phone, your app will actually do some caching and all that, not necessarily intelligently but autonomously, so that when you don't have network connection under a tunnel, your phone would still work, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's the same domain, and that works well for so it's the same domain as an embedded system for extreme environment. The only difference is don't throw your cell phone to Mars, and that's about it,
Well, they
right?
sent cell phones to the space station, right? I
Yeah, yeah,
think.
yeah. It's actually the reason is smartphone is essentially a satellite, like a camera, like a
Mm,
sensor, like a gyroscope and all that.
yeah.
Yes, but their chip are not radiation hardened, but that's another story altogether.
And there was this project of sending pies to the ISS for
Correct,
experiments. So there was
correct.
like this contest as well from
Oh,
before.
I should bring you my other thing. I actually bought the development board
Mm.
for it. The Raspberry Pi. Then they got Sense Hair. That's the name. You should look it up.
Ah, yeah, yeah. I remember. Um, it has a lot of sensors on it,
Yeah,
and like it's
and
like all
RGB.
everything is built in. Yeah.
So it has sensors. It had RGB, RGB what? The RGB LED
LEDs.
matrix.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I should show you some old video. I use it to build Game of Life with genetic algorithm.
Mm-hmm.
Then display on it. But on the parts interesting. It's fun.
But it's
Uh,
just a 9 by 9 LED matrix, right?
yeah, I go crazy, which is like
Okay.
the Game of Life gets weird,
Okay.
but it works. It works.
Mm-hmm.
And also because of the I tend to use it to run a simple machine learning model to predict weather. So I did AI to OT before AIoT is cool.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Oh
let's
yeah. Speaking of the IoT stuff, what happened to the Maxis NB IoT? Did we
which
ever send something there? We didn't send anything, right?
no. We didn't say anything because I forget about it. I didn't
Yeah.
remind everyone.
I wonder how the
Uh,
uptake of that was. So I think they could
yeah,
have done it better.
yeah, I think I have done it better because I think the thing is they attempt to go to the safe by going into what people already show,
Mm-hmm.
right? So they try to talk about use cases that people already did before.
Yeah.
pipes, power underground. I think, and they use the wrong type of hardware because they don't have your
Yeah,
Raspberry
because
Pi.
someone was already validly asking, like, can we use something else? Because if they're using embedded and you're putting in like pies on each tree in a
Yeah,
palm plantation to measure something, like
yes,
it's not only is it going to be very expensive, it's also like the battery stuff
yeah,
there is going to be heavier than the whole thing if
correct.
you want. And how do you waterproof it, for example? So
Yes, right,
and they say, oh yeah, it's just dev kit and whatever, but how do you prototype it without getting close to the
correct.
actual application of
Because
the project?
it's a hardware that very limited already,
Mm-hmm.
and I do not know how you will do it. Test it, uh, judging because you don't have environment to judge it. Are you going to just build a house or model? Then that is not you anymore, right? Everybody can do that, and you don't feel impressed, right? That's my
Mm-hmm.
concern about the competition. The best you can do is a model, and every time somebody use a Raspberry Pi to put on a model for their house, right? I'm not impressed. It's bad.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas they can buy a full Pi and get a real house and make a video, I'm more impressed.
So
My
what?
problem,
Yeah, sorry,
yeah,
your problem.
my problem with that is the limit hardware, which limit the environment they can test with, which ends up not impressing anyone, including themselves.
So Han brought up an interesting topic. Han is one of
Yeah,
the people in engineers.my Slack channel. In case you're
yeah.
still not in the Slack channel, whoever's listening here, he mentioned that the MacBook is actually a single board computer now. Like
Yes,
technically, it's a single board computer.
correct.
Like, so
But
where is the line now? Where does the line? Where is the line drawn?
you need to look at you need to look at where the original use of single board come from.
Mm-hmm.
In the robotics time, what you have is it's a device that is being moved around, correct? So you need to have everything integrated properly so that you don't have a CPU fall off and whatnot, right?
Mm-hmm.
In those days, sensor devices are there. You can use a computer, sure, right? But uh, in a way, it goes back to one thing. What's the origin of the Singapore computer? Why they do it that way? The short answer is because they want integrated devices for them to actually develop hardware.
Mm-hmm.
And is the term relevant now? I do not believe the term is relevant right now because it's a very old term. Those is impressive because you have an ARM board that do everything for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a
How about
computer
this one?
nowadays.
Classic question. What's the difference between microcomputer and a microcontroller?
Microcontroller is a part of computer. Believe it or not,
Also,
each individual
also question.
individual computer.
Another statement from Han is that what is a supercomputer?
What is a
So it
supercomputer?
doesn't make sense anymore, right? Because a lot of computers nowadays are in cluster, even though they're computing differently. The traditionally
Yeah.
HPC definition is the old HPC, high performance computing definition is a supercomputer is many computers go together. It's virtually a core.
Mm-hmm. And if you have enough Arduinos, you can get a Beowulf cluster out of them, right?
Not true because Beowulf cluster
Okay.
require networking. What happened is when you the abstraction for supercomputer is when you write a program to it, you do not worry about uh, bus and everything. The computer will automatically have the abstraction as one computation.
So isn't it like the same as when you're doing like GPU
Precisely,
computations? So it's like a
precisely.
small you're programming a supercomputer, it's just that it happens to be in a small card.
Correct, correct. So in this case, the inter-process communication is on the core itself,
Mm-hmm.
whereas a supercomputer, the processes, inter-process communication, the abstraction for the machine.
So that's actually interesting because
So
that
that's the traditional definition of supercomputer.
that means like each of those cards can be thought of as like if you abstract it enough, then you can
Yeah.
have like multiple like graphic cards, and
Yes.
you can just address them as if it's a single computer, even though it's like partitioning off the computations by itself, because
Yes.
with the way you would um, program for that kind of parallelizable computations, you don't care which core is that workload assigned to. You just want to answer. So whether it's shipped
Correct.
off network through a different computer, or was being done locally, then it's fine. So
Yes.
that means
So
also that the SETI at home project is a one huge supercomputer
Yeah.
thing.
no, that's the whole point. That's the whole point for
Hmm.
it.
But however, you can.
Difference is
Yep. Shipping
yes.
continue first.
I'm going to look at the source code. What happened is, if you look at the software they use, right? And I'm going to share a link later. Uh, it's a setting at home is done a bit differently, whereas the split the task of the abstraction may be different. But I try to look at some old software. Old software. There is specific software for you to build a Beaver cluster that actually hide the abstraction. But I don't think the software is available anymore. Uh, so yeah, go back. It's about if you build a build cluster or build a HPC thing, you would hear of thing like MPI. MPI is multi-process. Uh, so MPI, a message passing interface, right? But what does that mean? But they got a whole different technology to abstract out the computation. So I'm going to share it right now. I'm going to share it on the DevKami.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's interesting because what happened is the compiler is supported by default. It's a language level thing. It's a library that abstracts things for you.
So you don't have to care whether you're talking to one node or multiple nodes. It
But
Whereas,
just
SETI,
becomes
but SETI is
faster.
actually another case because SETI is supposed to everybody can just get in, finish some job and submit it. So
yes,
it's like a RPC job queue server,
Mhm.
yes,
something like that. But but also that's the kind of what we call uh, compute at home, folding at home, like
Mhm.
projects that have a lot more overhead because you have to verify the information. A lot of the efforts are in verifying
Mm.
the work that you have done.
How about the GIMPs, the Great Internet Mersenne Prime Search?
yeah,
I have no idea
same
about
concept
that.
but different implementation.
It looks for
Yeah,
Mersenne primes. Mersenne primes are primes that can be
it's
like 2 to the n minus 1, basically. It's like 7, for
yeah,
example, is a Mersenne prime.
it's a type of prime that can compute it very easily using 2 n minus 1.
Like for
So
example, 7 is a Mersenne prime because
correct,
you can do it as 2 to the 3,
yeah,
then minus 1. So 2 to the
correct,
3 is 8, then minus 1 is a 7.
correct. So I shared a few links for open message passing interface and all that. There's a difference between supercomputers and all that. And when we write software development for our distributed system, we use a totally different abstraction.
Mm.
So even when you talk about in a way, it's not too different when you talk about RabbitMQ message passing.
No, it's actually converging, in a way. These kind of things are converging into like things that we do from day to day.
Correct.
So something like RPMK or something like you can say it like just like the Erlang runtime,
Yes.
something like that.
So uh,
Or if you want to say if you're into that field like Plan 9, because Plan 9 is everything is supposed to be, even though everybody it's supposed to work like one operating system, but everything is actually from the network.
correct. So supercomputing,
It's like a
Plan 9 for
Chromebook then.
supercomputing is awesome.
Yeah.
Plan 9
And
is like
Yeah.
the old
But it's
Chromebook.
also, if I want to go into that a bit of off topic, is that is also one of the basis of object oriented programming, not
Mhm.
like the Java
correct.
model, but
Yes.
more like the LNK
Message
model is
passing.
like you treat all of these processes or programs or functions as an individual organism.
Mhm.
So organism actually communicate with each other's via message passing. So
So in this case, Elixir is actually more closer to the original object-oriented
not original,
programming
there are actually two
paradigm.
camps. So
Yeah.
it's closer to the Alan K one
So
than
Alan
the
K one, yeah.
yeah,
So the Alan K camp, the Elixir is actually closer there because
yeah,
you have your actors and you have your mailboxes and you
yeah,
send
Yeah.
messages to the mailbox.
yeah,
You don't do the C style, C plus
yeah,
plus
Yes.
style, where you have a virtual lookup table and all of
yeah,
these things. And
Yeah.
you don't actually do a message pass. You
yeah,
do a virtual function call.
yep.
Yes.
So it's a different way of doing it.
Correct.
Let's do some shout outs in YouTube.
Yeah. I didn't read YouTube, so who's that?
Nicholas is
You can,
saying
you
that
can,
you can buy tickets from NG, the Angular Malaysia conference from him. So if you are looking for tickets for Angular Malaysia, Nicholas has them, but he's like set your like give your price basically.
yeah,
Don't make it too
Blow him away your
expensive.
price. Ask
Yes.
like the asking price for Angular Malaysia tickets are
yeah.
really expensive
Chris
now.
Lowe also shared something interesting. Probably it is something that I mean the younger generation didn't know is that he mentioned that he used to buy those magazines for the demo games, and
Mm.
it used to be big because demos were actually released or announced along with the magazine.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So unlike
That's
like
is before the internet
yeah, before
happened.
E3 and all these things, like I mean before E3 gets, because nowadays with the internet, E3 is so like real time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So before that, E3 was I mean the main thing that we get demo is actually via magazines.
Those
Yes.
were the days when you had a bug, then you're stuck with that bug forever because
Yeah,
there's no updates, right?
yeah,
Yes. Which is why there's Go edition. Ha ha ha.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they have the re-editions of games where they fix bugs. But
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and of course we talk about the Maker Faire being sad because
yeah. It's a
it's
bit
they're
sad,
bankrupt.
but it's a
Mm,
combination
Yeah.
of issues if you read around and stuff.
mm,
Yeah. It's a multiple
yeah.
issue thing. I think my gist for Maker Faire is that they try to grow too big too fast, and they try
Mm,
to international phenomenon, even though it's a niche community thing.
mm,
That's my opinion for Maker Faire.
okay.
A lot of people do not want to believe it, but I think the maker culture is a niche culture, interesting
I
culture, but a niche culture.
I think it's a discovery thing. Just that
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
they like just like probably I don't like Tristan is doing stuff like, but I don't think he's actually involved with the really like the maker community.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
And you don't have to, right? It's
But
not.
it's a hobby electronics,
yeah,
right? So you don't have to
yeah,
be affiliated with, like, I don't have to call
yeah,
myself a maker because for one
Correct.
thing I don't think I like for whatever standards they have, I don't think I qualify. It's just a
Yes.
hobby for me that I feel I can do something. I learn new
yeah,
things and maybe in the future I might be able to draw on these experiences
Yeah.
the way I've been drawing on previous experiences that I never knew I would be using from
So
before.
precisely, not everyone want to do that, and it's not something that you have to grow too big too soon.
yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people are hoping that it's fixed manufacturing or hardware business, whatever. Too big too soon.
Yeah.
Just like that.
Yeah,
That's
it's actually very hard to put them under the same umbrella or try to put them into a mold. It's actually not. It's still pretty much in flux. I don't know. Everybody's.
Mm.
Yes.
It's
Correct.
not necessarily like I like identify a maker, but people still do things.
Yes. So
Okay, so
I think that's about
in
it.
yeah, if any of you have any questions on the Pi 4, whatever, like what tests do you want me to run or whatever,
yeah.
then mention it,
Yeah,
leave a comment or something. We'll probably check tomorrow after I like go through. I
yeah.
just finished downloading Noobs. I'll probably install it
I'm
later.
actually just interested in the first thing is decoding for like
Uh
videos.
yeah, so I have the jellyfish thing, so I'll try to see what the performance is for that. You know the
Mm.
jellyfish test videos?
Yeah,
Like so like the
they give you all the
gigabit
different
stuff.
files. Yeah,
Yeah. So I'll see what kinds of performance this actually has and maybe like Probably if I have time before I leave for the Philippines, like the GPIO performance, like how fast does it switch, and compared to maybe like an Arduino or an ASP32, and we'll see what we can make like a kilohertz um, PWM, or maybe I don't know. We'll see.
Maybe do a review video. Maybe let's see how it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
All
right.
right.
Let's see then.
Yay! We will see you
So
again next
yeah.
week,
Right.
Yeah.
or unless Swimming is on vacation, because he is going on
We
vacation,
will
right?
announce if there's any changes because I want Swimming to have his holiday.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't actually have a proper
Yeah.
holiday for a while.
So we'll
So
see. Maybe Swimming will be joining us in a beach,
Yeah.
sipping some martinis
Yeah. Showing off.
in Brazil. So it's going to be sunny on his side.
all
All
right.
right.
So
All
that's
right.
it.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, folks.
Yes.